double-digit losses. So with a guy like Slobo who's going to take care of the ball, D'Anthony Melton, who I think can be a winning player, it's obviously the way Philadelphia valued him, the way Memphis valued him. I thought Memphis didn't play him enough at times. I think he can be a winning player. You bring in Terry Stotts and Sackhouse. Now, can you bring in Markkanen, who necessarily hasn't been a winning player? Let's be real. Markkanen, has he even played a playoff game yet? I don't think he's played one playoff game.
I mean, he was with Cleveland before. I don't
Chicago
think
and now Utah. I don't think he's played in a playoff game yet. I don't think he's played more than 66 games in a season.
But weren't we saying similar things about Andrew Wiggins?
Exactly.
Okay.
So fit matters. So that's where I'm going here, where now with these pieces, now I'm starting to see the vision of Mike Dunleavy again. You get the guy Quentin Post from Boston College. You draft him in the second round, a stretch five. And we see that rookies now in the NBA, kind of like the NFL, they're starting to have immediate success.
Well, especially the seasoned ones.
And this guy, Quentin Post, is very seasoned. Played 5 years. Second team All-ACC. He's a little older. That's fine. This window's not going to be open for long with Stephen Curry, right? So now you get Quentin Post, and I'm very eager to see him at some point this summer. Hopefully we see him at some point this summer. I don't think we're going to see him next week at the California Classic. But you see Kyle Anderson, who's 6'9", length, athletic, can block some shots. I'm not mad at him. But if you're able to get your hands on Lauri Markkanen, now it depends on what you give up for him. Because again, just like Paul George, I'm not sure I want to give up a ton of draft picks and multiple players for Lauri Markkanen.
Before you continue, doesn't it feel like if they acquire Lauri Markkanen, the first thing they're going to do is extend him, right? So can you financially afford Lauri Markkanen's extension and a Kuminga? Like I'm playing process of elimination here. Can you afford, no,
you may have to go to the tax.
If you move off Wiggins,
right.
But you'd have to move off Wiggins and not absorb anything back.
Wiggins would absolutely have to be part of that deal.
What?
You would think that Wiggins would absolutely have to be part of that deal. Now, the flip side is,
why would
you flip Wiggins? Well, on the flip side is, too, if Wiggins is motivated and Wiggins comes back, and I know a lot of people are down on Andrew Wiggins, but he is your best point of attack defender. And so you do give that up. You do give that up if you give up Andrew Wiggins. Now, is Kuminga ready to take that role to say, hey, I'm the dude here. I'm 00. I'm on the perimeter. I'm picking up Luka 94 feet. I'm picking up this guy 94 feet. I'm going to be a pit bull here. I am the new Rocco. I'm going to defend my ass off and shut you down. Is he ready for that? Now, Anthony Slater told us when he knows these one-on-one battles are coming, Kuminga does get engaged, and he will lock some people up. He will defend. He will frustrate you. Hell, Jordan Clarkson was ready to throw hands with Kuminga and ready to take one to the chin against Jonathan Kuminga. Can he do that? You have to bank on that. You have to bank on Moses Moody. Now, he may be part of a deal, too. We have no idea. So I'm good either way. If they don't move these guys for Markkanen, I'm okay with that because then I get to see the youngsters play, and I get to see what the Warriors have. Then Dunleavy has a few more months to cook and maybe consummate a trade mid-season. But if you do trade for Markkanen, I can see how it could fit with the Draymond, with the Kyle Anderson, with the Melton. You have some pieces around here that can make it work.
So if you do trade for Markkanen, is there a player that of the young guys that to you is off limits?
I can't get rid of Kuminga, man. I'm not willing to give up Kuminga.
You'd be willing to give up Pods and Moody?
I need a backup point guard in case Melton is
you got to give something.
No, I understand. You're going to have to give up a lot. I'm going to have to give up a lot. So
Again, and also there's the financial situation of like you're probably going to have to extend.
Is Markkanen really worth that? Warrior fans, is Markkanen worth giving up half of your young core and picks? Warrior fans, 888-957-9570. What are you willing to give up for Lauri Markkanen if he is a guy? Because online, everybody's ready to give up everything for Lauri Markkanen. Spinoza, you got Lauri Markkanen's box scores up, or you got his stats up? Pull his stats up. But are Warrior fans here on the Morning Roast willing to give up the farm for Lauri Markkanen?
This might age poorly, all right? I'm going to die on the Kuminga hill. I've made the decision because I've kind of waffled back and forth all offseason, and I've thought to myself, you know what? No, I'm sticking with Kuminga. To me, Kuminga is off limits, and the reason why I'm sticking with him is because to me, the one area that you can't have enough of are dynamic wing defenders.
Exactly.
Who are athletic, who can get in the lane and get to the free throw line on this team. I definitely need shooting. I always need shooting. We got to find those guys. He provides me in a league full of freak athletes, one of the guys who actually stands above some of the others out there. And so, to your point, I've made the decision for me, if I am getting Markkanen, I am drawing the line at Jonathan Kuminga. You can have Pods, you can have Moody, you can even have Trace Jackson-Davis, even though I'm very hesitant to give him up. But to me, I am not giving up Kuminga. I'm dying on that hill, and I'm paying Kuminga. I've made the decision. I'm paying Kuminga. I like our homegrown stars.
But you know what, though? You don't have to pay Kuminga right away.
Well, no, but I'm saying,
you could allow him to become a restricted free agent and not get the price may go up on that. But that's a chance I may be willing to take.
Here's what, when I'm making these trades, I'm projecting out 4 months from now. Do I have to pay? Would I be willing to pay? Because I need to know. And I'm telling you right now, I'm keeping Kuminga and I'm paying him. I've been waffling back and forth. I've gone from one side to the other because I think I'm in my own dome on this. I'm not giving up Kuminga. I'm putting my flag in the ground. I'm dying on the Kuminga hill. Who's with me?
So there you go. There you go. There it is. Joe Shasky. He's not giving up Kuminga. I'm telling you, Kuminga could be a very good bargain at $30 million a year. In the way the cap has exploded, in the way the television contracts are going to help the salary cap go up, in the way I just watched Scotty Barnes get all that money, and I watched Emmanuel quickly get all that money, and I'm thinking about Jonathan Kuminga, and I'm saying to myself, boy, I've always been in the camp. I don't want to give him up either. And I think somebody's lying about the whole Paul George deal or Ramona Shelburne saying that Kuminga was never on the table. Well, if I'm the Clippers again, Kuminga's got to be the number one player. It starts with Kuminga if I'm going to give you Paul George. So I'm not believing some of that stuff. But when it comes to Kuminga, I love Kuminga, man. I really do. But then I like Pods, and I like TJD, and I like Moody. So I love Hart, man. I love Hart. Couple texts here, an Xfinity Mobile text line. Is Lauri Markkanen a good defender from the 707? We're going to find out from Sarah Todd.
I've seen a couple of highlight packages where he makes some blocks at the rim. There's more to play. Okay, and I'm not saying that like blocks at the rim aren't a big thing, but that's a highlight.
Yeah.
I'm more worried about when you fall asleep off-ball defender and a guy's cutting into the lane. Like part of why everyone's losing their minds on Klay Thompson defensively wasn't just him in front of a guy, because there's enough video of guys, and every player gets blown by. That's a misnomer. But
weak side help.
It's falling asleep off ball.
Team
like that
defense.
was the big problem with Jordan Poole.
Right.
Jordan, turning his head, looking at the ball as his defender is cutting into the lane. Boom, bounce pass, dunk. It's tough because to get a feel on a defender like that, you have to pour over lots of tape. Right. You can't just look at a highlight package to know if someone's a great defender.
Chico on YouTube. Markkanen isn't awful defensively, but he's not good. Sarah Todd, she covers the Utah Jazz. She's from the Bay, man. I love Sarah. Whenever she comes out here, it's a family affair. Love Sarah Todd. Can't wait to get her back on the road. She covers the Utah Jazz for the Desert News. She will shed some light on who Lauri Markkanen is at 9:20 a.m. You don't want to miss that. She knows Utah Jazz inside and out. Her and Tony Jones are the best on that beat. They do a terrific job of keeping everybody informed about the Utah Jazz. So she'll join us at 9:20 and shed some light on Lauri Markkanen, on who he is, because it seems like the Warriors are still going big name hunting here in the offseason. Let's get to Rich and Hayward. Rich, what's happening? You're on the roast.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I'll tell you right now, Markkanen, this reminds me of Bogut and all the rest of these guys are kind of like Monte Ellis. I'll tell you, we love Monte, but he's gone, and that's what's going to happen. Like Kuminga, I love Kuminga, but it's basically I don't think we can make a championship here. He can't dribble that good. He's had some issues, and I love how he slams and stuff, but it's just Markkanen, I think, can make a big difference here, and that's all I'm saying. I think that's what management's thinking too. I'd hate to give up Pods, but it's like when I looked at that roster yesterday, I was like, wow. And Wiggins. Actually, I try and keep him, but at least I know he can defend Luka or LeBron in some type of fashion.
Right.
That's my take on it.
Yeah, I hear that. It's a lot of people would give up Kuminga. A lot of people will give up Kuminga for Lauri Markkanen. As you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and AC1 San Francisco and Odyssey Sports Station, always live on the free Odyssey app. And don't forget, all guests on 95.7 The Game appear on the River Islands guest line. That's right. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands, River Islands in Lathrop. Man, it's a really good time. I can't wait to get out there. Spadoni, you about to say something?
Well, this is what I'm getting at here, and I think the fans are too. So if you're willing to part with all these future players, like you're banking on the future of Kuminga, Moody, Wiggins, if you want to get off that contract, all that fine, and all the first-round picks, you're basically saying that you think Lauri Markkanen could be your second best player on a championship team. Do you guys believe that?
No. And I'm not paying him $40 to $55 million a year.
What?
Seeing what these deals are, like, I think he's a good player, but like those would be your top two dogs financially. It'd be Steph and him.
Right.
Is he worth twice what Draymond? Like, I know right now, no, and that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I haven't watched Markkanen enough to know. And do I need him to be my second best player? I need him to be solid.
At 50
I need him to
million?
be solid. Well, I mean, that's next season, though. That's next season. This year, this season, you're getting about 17, 18. Maybe you sign and trade them next year and try to get another player.
Yeah, but not projecting,
guarantee.
put them in the Chris Paul situation,
no doubt.
where they basically.
No, I think they projected the Chris Paul situation. I thought they knew that there was a chance they may not get nothing for him, and having that team option to say, hey, look, worst case scenario with Chris Paul, you get off the $30 million and you get under the first and second apron. I think they did project that. I think it was a win-win. Hey, can he help us in the playoffs? Well, you didn't make the playoffs. So what do? Can we find a dance partner to trade with? Obviously, you're not. Team's not willing to pay Chris Paul at this stage $30 million. So you wait on the Warriors to waive him. And worst case scenario, you got off the money. You got off the money and you got your books in order.
Yeah, but how does that look for the Bulls right now with LaVine? I'm not saying he's to the degree of LaVine, but like they can't staple enough things together to LaVine. It's untradeable because of how, like, once you give a guy that much money, teams around the league are realizing that's an anchor.
But you don't have to do that with Lauri Markkanen right now.
Yeah, but you have to know what you're going to do next year.
Well, you try to get through this season and you have a plan to say, hey, as we get Lauri Markkanen in the building, and hell, they may have that plan. These teams are not just working day to day. The Warriors are working a year out, 2 years out, 3 years out, 4 years out. They got it on a whiteboard. They know what's going on here. If Lauri Markkanen doesn't pan out, he's on the books for what, $17, $18 million this season, and he's going to get paid, well, that's where the sign to trade comes into play. That's where the sign to trade comes into play. You can move off that and pivot very quickly off of Lauri Markkanen.
So now I'm trading assets, and I might get other. Like, I don't know.
Well, it depends what you trade for Markkanen, right? If you trade the farm for Markkanen, obviously you're going to try to retain him and give him a max deal.
I love him as my third best player, and in this scenario, it's so difficult because they're behind the eight ball, and so you have to overpay to bring someone in. Well, but he, to me, is in the same way that I viewed Kristaps Porzingis as on any given night is your third best player on Boston, even though they have Drew and they have Derek White and they have other guys. But like on any given night, he's your third best player. Like that's how you win a championship.
No doubt. But can he be your second best player offensively while Draymond Green is still your best player defensively? And can he help out with that one?
That's a good question.
And depending on what you give up, like that 2022 championship that everybody calls the bonus championship, it seems a little disrespectful, but it is what it is. Checkbook championship, bonus championship. I don't give a damn. I'm throwing out 1, 2, 3, 4 championships in 9 years. How about them apples? But on that team, you could say Andrew Wiggins was your second best player, your two-way player, your most consistent, but it oscillated. One day it was Clay. One day it was JP. One day it was Draymond Green. Hell, Looney. Game 2 against the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals, Draymond Green was saddled in foul trouble, and it turned out to be the best thing for the Warriors and the worst thing for the Mavericks because Looney dominated that third quarter.
Very true. But to use 2022 as the algorithm moving forward, to me, is a false equivalency because I think Minnesota's deeper, OKC's deeper, and Dallas feels more dynamic. So you're not facing a Dallas team with just Luka.
I'm not just looking at 2022 and the personnel. I'm just talking about the teams that won championships. Okay. Think about the Boston Celtics. Was Tatum and Brown the best two players of the Boston Celtics every single day of the playoffs this past season?
No, but I would say that throughout the regular season, Tatum was clearly awesome, and I thought Jaylen Brown was spectacular.
Regular season, but in the playoffs.
But they also have Drew Holiday making big coin, and Kristaps Porzingis, when healthy, was good, and Derek White has now gotten broken off.
You're kind of making my point here.
They're deeper.
In the playoffs, they're top heavy. They're top heavy like the Warriors used to be. They're top heavy. But my point was, every single game, Tatum wasn't your best player. At times, Brown wasn't your best player. Drew Holiday was your best player in 16 of those wins in the playoffs, because the regular season is the regular season. You got to get to the playoffs, obviously. But in the playoffs, when you got to win 16 games, there's at times Drew Holiday was your best player. There was times Porzingis was your best player.
Yeah,
there was times Horford was your best player. So you don't need your second best player to be your second best player every game. That stuff changes by the day. What I need is Steph Curry to be Steph Curry, first and foremost.
We'll disagree on Boston. That's fine. Jaylen Brown was awesome.
He was awesome. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying that he wasn't awesome. What I'm saying is that every single game
in their prime.
But Drew Holiday, there was a game where Drew Holiday was by far and away the best player for the Boston Celtics.
Yeah,
and then there's a game where Kristaps Porzingis is your best player for the Boston Celtics. Game 1, you don't win that.
Well, he was great in the first half of game 1.
But that won you the game. That was the game. That was the game.
I just think when your starting point is probably one of the top 5, 6, 7 best two-way players in the game in Jaylen Brown, that's something the Warriors don't possess. And so he can put his imprint on a game by manning up the best perimeter player on another team. The Warriors currently don't have that type of a guy who can also wear down the opponent in the half court on the other end. I don't know. I think we got to look where Steph's at.
Now you're moving the goalposts here in terms of the second best player. We're just making who's. First of all, you need your constant. The constant has to be Steph Curry. It all starts there. If Steph Curry's not at his best, then who could step up and be that best player for that given day? Because the playoffs change. The playoffs are different. You're going to have games where guys are not you look at Indiana making the Eastern Conference Finals. There's times Tyrese Halliburton was not your best player. There's a long stretch, but you're still winning.
That felt a little Easty, fluky, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Indiana, but that was a boring series once, they felt overwhelmed.
All right, we got a break here. We'll get to Charlie in New York. 888-957-9570. What are you willing to do to trade for Lauri Markkanen if you're interested in Lauri Markkanen? If you're not interested in trading for Lauri Markkanen, why? Why don't you want Lauri Markkanen? Enlighten